Welcome back to IXION. In this episode, the goal is to get to the Protagoras and potentially to actually finish Chapter 2. I don't think we will be starting Chapter 3 in this episode, but we will definitely get to the point where we can leave the system. Now, you may notice that we are currently in cycle 870, whereas when we ended the last episode, that was in cycle 705. So there's been a few cycles going on here. I think I even had the Happy New Year administrator message. And I've done a couple of things on board the station. I noticed that I had a gap here, so I moved a little bit around here, and I moved the batteries over here. I added another housing up here. There's a couple of batteries there. And yeah, I don't remember if I've done anything else specifically in this sector, so maybe you guys will spot the difference. In this sector, most of the stuff here is shut down. I've added more houses. There is a very good reason for that. I'll get back to it. And we are basically running on waste recycling to keep the alloy production at a level where we can stay self-sufficient, as in I have ample alloys to repair the hull and even build more buildings with 3 recycling plants, all of which are not upgraded via tech. So we get 15 alloys per cycle on average, and we spend 5 alloys, or rather, I'm not sure what's up with the number rounding on the tooltip there, because each of these say that they take 2 alloys per cycle, and there is no decimal there. So maybe it's like 2.02 or something, and that's why this just rounds up to 5. I'm not sure. But yep, that's this sector. And then finally we have the farm sector, which looks like this. I have upgraded some of these buildings to demotic, I think. And I've also thawed enough of the cryopods that we are at exactly 1500 population. We do have 215 cryopods in the station, and there are still 65 left on the Protagoras. And that brings us to the reason for why I have added more housing here. Because the housing capacity in Sector 1 is now at 819, and the same goes for Sector 2. And I need to be able to house more people if you want to wake up those cryo-frozen people. And that means we also need to open another mess hall, and that's also why there are 2 stockpiles here for food, because this is the sector where I'm going to dump people in. And I might even have to add back the cell housing here. Okay, that is a brief recap. As for the sciences, I have done some research while I have been doing things off camera. Under the where is it? Crew quarters. I have done the knee-high quarter protocol because we really needed that waste. Likewise, under the crop farms, I have done the knee-high crops protocol. I'm not sure if that really made much of a difference, but wow. Then we had a happy event because I repatriated the colonist, which gave me a plus 10% trust bonus. And I assumed that if we had left them behind, we would have a similar event, which would not have been happy, giving us a trust penalty or even a stability modifier penalty. Under the steel mill, I did research the alloy development, even though I was out of iron at the time. The reason why I took alloy development is because I want to get magnetic separators in the waste treatment center technology tree. And that requires both alloy development and panel purification. And besides, these techs are actually quite good, so I'm not complaining about having to take that. Finally, the final tech that I've taken while being off or between episodes was the ice preparation workers here, which means that 15 ice now produce 48 water, and I'm kind of aiming for chemical fusion so that we can get 60 water from 15 ice. That is a nice bonus. But the reason why I thought that I would record now is because we are going to start running into issues with ice. And this number is starting to run quote-unquote low. So, yeah. First of all of our ships, except for the science ship, is in dock. So we are going to move the Tiqqun. We have enough for 3.8, so we're going to move the Tiqqun to the Protagoras. Boy, that took me 5 minutes and nearly 30 seconds. But again, it's a summary of what has happened. Inside of the ship, there is not really much for me to pay attention to now. Most of this is just running on its own, and it's all being very friendly to me. One thing that I'm thinking that I will do, but we don't have enough waste for it yet. As you can see, this one is kind of not having enough waste. The drones are really nice, by the way. I was thinking that we would have another waste treatment center here, and that...
Caution. Entering extreme low temperature environment.
Indeed. And that enables us to fit 3 more domotic quarters behind here, this way. Now we're driving in the cold. And minus 42 to hull integrity, because we're in EKP travel, of course. I think I'll turn this one on temporarily. As long as you have 3 sectors, 2 EVA airlocks is sufficient without any tech upgrades. There is the tech upgrade to the EVA airlock that gives you 5%, 10% and 15% respectively, in addition to the 20% efficiency we get from the Space Tier 2 specialization. With all of those upgrades, I believe you can open all sectors and run on 3 EVA airlocks. As long as the EVA airlocks is in a Space Tier 2 sector. And we have arrived. This looks quite foreboding, I would say. Let's make sure that this doesn't happen to the Tiqqun. Okay, we are repairing hull. We are getting... yeah, there we're back. We can shut down this again. And in the Tiqqun exterior view, we need to build the retractable telescopic pole. We have ample polymer, so we can just go ahead and build that. In addition to that, we also need to go to the event here. We have completed repairs to the superstructure of the Protagoras. As we were finishing our last tasks, an invitation was found that had been left for us. Some of the older members of the Protagoras wished to meet with us. We have the Naomi protocol to meet the elders here. Activating rootkit. Well then. And we also have the Caesar cipher going on there. And the crew of the Maxwell will meet with the elders. We also need the retractable telescopic pole before we can re-establish the internal infrastructure and food distribution, and then reboot the Protagoras core systems. I don't want to meet the elders, so we'll just leave it at that. We need the retractable telescopic pole to finish. Now we do have the ice mist, which surrounds the station. That might lead to some of our crew dying. It will very likely lead to solar panels being damaged. So it's good to have a good buffer in power.
Accident has occurred in the Tiqqun.
When you enter this ice mist, because of that. We're not staying here any more than we have to. We are doing what we need to do with the Protagoras, and then we're getting the heck out of this ice mist again. You can see the drones are doing their work. They can carry up to 10, by the way. If I had read the tooltips. Quickly transfer up to 10 units. And I also kind of feel that this one is not needed. My feelings on the drone base is that they are probably best placed in Sector 1, 5 and 3, or 2, 4 and 6. Having them beside one another, like, it seems that this one is the only one that actually sends out drones at the moment. I have yet to see this send out a drone. So I might actually tear this down. Or rather, I will tear this down. Because it's not needed. Sector 3 is the, or rather Sector 5 is the next sector. Yeah, there we go. We need to finish that exterior construction project first, but you can see we dropped in power. I think we lost 40 power there. But yeah, I plan on opening this sector next. The main reason for that being proximity to food. Proximity to building materials. The drones here can get the alloys from there. We're done with that, so we need to repair the solar panel. But alloys is less critical than food, so I'd rather have food being quickly transported over than alloys being quickly transported over. You can see the drones are pretty fast in their movements. Right, now let's have a look at the science event. Let us re-establish the internal infrastructure and food distribution and reboot the Protagoras' core systems. We'll use one of the, I think we'll just use the Mimisbrunner, because we have the alloys and the food we need in Sector 6, and the drones will bring new alloys over rather quickly anyways, so... Thankfully that won't take long, because it's a very short distance. I need to check that the docking bay is powered on. So what will take time here is for the resources to be distributed down to the docking bay, actually. And I don't think... Oh, that's actually the first time I see a drone go out of that one. I don't think the drones... no, they don't do inter-sector transportation. So they only do intra-sector transportation. Which might be useful for some of you to know. I think we can speed things up a bit here. Now I wish that the vessels and vehicles were intelligent enough to... Well, they actually start loading it up. But I think the ship is already back. I wish they were intelligent enough to do that while the ship was away, just calculating in the entirety of the resources that is needed to transport instead of doing it in batches like this. I've also noticed that occasionally I need to pause one of the farms because I'm overproducing food with 3 farms for 1,500 people. I haven't done the math on it. I could. They yield 1.3 times 9 times 10, so 13 times 9 per cycle. No, 13 per cycle. No. Never mind. It would be 11.9. No. 11.7 per cycle. So 117 for 10 cycles, if I'm correct here. Which means... yeah, I am definitely overproducing food for 1,500 people. I like the... I mean, yes, we're at speed 2 now, but I like the zippiness of these drones. But a word of warning, the longer you stay inside of this ice mist, the more polymer you're going to be using, because you have to keep repairing solar panels. So I strongly recommend, having done the first part that doesn't require the telescopic bow before you go into the ice mist and do the second part, which I'm doing now. So they have the 100 alloys and 32 of the food. I'm also working on the guide for all of the science events in Chapter 2. And I was also thinking that I'd make a short guide in regards to what tech upgrades I consider worth doing. Such a guide will be kind of controversial, because there are so many choices here that people will feel differently about what choices are the best ones, but I think everyone can agree that getting the assistant promotion and intelligent lab up first definitely is a very good idea, and probably the best idea. But of course, getting the assistant promotion up and running requires you to have this circle here complete before you can actually access the... no, I mean the intelligent lab. Whereas getting the assistant promotion requires this circle here completed, which is a little bit easier than this one, given that all of these require 60. These ones requires 90 in the tier 4. So this is tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. But I'll actually make a guide for that. Okay. One crew member died during the last cycle due to environmental effects. That's another reason not to be inside of the ice mist. From Sector 1 to Sector 6, workers 1. And we can wake up 1 cryopod.
An accident has occurred in the Tiqqun.
There we go. And this is nearly done as well. I think we can power on this mess hall, and no, not yet. There is an event coming here. We need to wait a little bit. I need to know the numbers, and I don't remember the numbers.
Population transfer complete.
I don't know why a crew member died in here, since there is no EVA airlocks in here. I thought that it would only affect the EVA workers. Maybe it affects the dock workers as well? The most logical would have been that someone in this sector had died.
A science ship team has completed a task.
Welcome the Protagoras crew members. Transfer 250 crew members from the Protagoras to the Tiqqun. Yes, there we go. Event available. Transmission from the Maxwell's team. The resources necessary for the well-being of the Protagoras' crew have been brought aboard. The station's core systems are now online and operational. We spoke with the crew of the Protagoras. It is clear that most of them now wish to pursue a different goal than exoplanet colonization. With their tachyon calculators stolen by the UN, and their ability to generate VOHLE coordinates with it, they say they will no longer attempt to reach Remus. Instead, the Protagoras will become a place for life in perpetual displacement. As there are only 2 sectors of the ship functional, however, the crew accept that they must reduce their numbers if they are to have a chance of enduring such an existence. While some will leave the Protagoras with heavy hearts, comforted only by the knowledge they are giving their crewmates the best odds of survival, many more actually wish to join us on the Tiqqun and see the mission to reach Remus through to the end. We must welcome them on board the Tiqqun before we leave this system and the Protagoras behind. I still do not want to meet the Elders, so we shall leave the Protagoras and send the Maxwell back to the Tiqqun. And all of the stuff that is on here can be picked up from outside of the ice mist, so we'll move the Tiqqun to DeVille 59 so that we are not inside of the ice mist. There is no reason to stay in there when we don't have to stay there. We have 200. Of course. 200 non-workers and 50 workers. Okay. Let's see here. We need to prepare for that. So in this sector, we need to... this one should have ample battery power because of the 30% bonus to battery. No, 20% bonus to batteries. Let's turn on this mess hall. And let's turn on this docking bay. And let's assign the cornucopia and number 5 to this docking bay. Humbug. I really like the attention to detail that the devs have added with even having the space weather being visible when the Tiqqun is traveling inside of it. It looks absolutely awesome. Such a... Yeah, as I've mentioned several times, the attention to detail in this game, considering it's not a AAA, AA production, I'm actually really impressed by what the dev team has put together in this game. The soundtrack is amazing. The story is, at least as far as I've come, amazing. While there are some bugs in the game and some balancing issues, I find that the difficulty has been balanced, at least for me, to a good level. And yeah, the accident thing, that could be tweaked a bit more, obviously. The apparently I had some silicon left over there. There are some occasional bugs that I have encountered, like I can tear down a building that required electronics to put up, and I don't get the electronics refunded for some reason. But that only happens if I've played for very long. Let's set the cornucopia and number 5 to pick up people. So we'll get 250 more people in here. Do I have room for 750 people in this sector? Yes, I do. Our food. We have set this to 120. No, this is the wrong one. 200 here. In Sector 1 it's set to 100. I think I'm going to have food coming into this stockpile as well. I'll keep all 3 farms powered up for now. We are starting to run low on ice, so we'll send all 3 vessels here out to pick up ice. And I've started to micromanage this, actually, because I don't want my docks to be clogged. So I turn things on and off as I need them now. Otherwise, for instance, if I hadn't done that with the cryopods, I would have a -1 stability modifier in all my sectors now due to having more than 250 cryopods on board. Let's set Sector 1 to maintain a level of 150 food, I think. Now, how the heck this one is at 220, I have no idea. I guess I had one of these set to store cryopods at some point. Oh, sorry about that. So the cargo ships are now picking up people. And I think that when we reach Chapter 3, we are going to have to open a new sector. I'm a bit reluctant about that, to be honest, because I know it's going to cause strains, but we do have enough food with the upgrade to... Oh, we can do that, actually. Where art thou? Fusion station.
An accident has occurred in the Tiqqun.
We need to unlock the aqueous assembly line so that we can get chemical fusion. Now, I could also get intelligent design, but we don't really need the food production speed now. What we need is water. Because with all these upgrades, I'm fairly certain that one fusion station is sufficient to supply 4 farms. Might be that the 4th farm can only have 8 of these, but I'll do the mathematics on that, just to be certain. And yes, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I think I'm going to have to go... I don't know for a certainty, but I might have to go to 1 episode per day. With some days having 2. It depends. Sector or Chapter 3 is going to be interesting. I haven't done much of it, but I do not intend to go into Chapter 3 blindly. Some of you might be wondering why I'm not playing blindly. AKA why I have a shadow save, where I play and research things beforehand. I want this Let's Play series to finish, and even without playing blindly, there is a distinct chance that I might not be able to finish the game, because the difficulty is high enough that, yeah, even with knowing what's going to happen, I might not be able to make it. So going in there blindly is almost certainly going to mean that I will fail. So that is the reason why I'm doing things beforehand, so that I know what's going to happen, what choices I should pick. I don't know if the choices I pick are the best ones long term. I'm fairly sure that there are different endings to the game as well by now. But what we do know at this point is that the UN also managed to leave Sol. We know that Dolos made the Protagoras. We know that we found the IXION engine in the atmosphere of Jupiter. So Dolos did continue, and they even left Sol using the Protagoras. And we know that the UN also left Sol. We have the references to the Etemenaki, which was the ship, I assume, that disabled the Protagoras. And with all that knowledge, I return to my question about how much time has actually passed from the VOHLE Jump, where we blew up the moon. Because it's got to be a significant time, actually. Given the fact that both the UN and Dolos were building superstructures and large ships, and also left Earth. So while we thought originally that we were the sole remnants of humanity, except for the ones that apparently had been able to go to Remus, which we learned later on in Chapter 1. So originally, when we blew up the moon, I actually thought that we were that the 199 people that were on board the Tiqqun were the only survivors, except for potentially the people in the cryopods. We finished the technology there, but now we know that there are others out here, and we don't know how many. We learned that there were others out there with the storyline about Remus in Chapter 1, but we did not learn about the UN following them. So I am very eager to see where this story leads us. We are picking up people at a good pace. I suppose I could put in one more ship, actually. Do I have another Tier 2 ship? IXION is Tier 2. Let's send the IXION as well. That's 99 we can pick up. So yeah, need 4 more trips. I think that I will pause the recording until we have picked up all the people. There we go. We have an incoming transmission after we have transported the 250 people back to the Tiqqun.
Administrator, the Protagoras is reactivated and operational. We have received the Etemenaki's full signature. Act with caution when facing this UN superstructure. We are ready to follow to reach Remus. Nothing is holding us back.
New objective, leave the system. Not quite yet though. I have sent a science ship back here because there is an event available. I'm not sure if it's the same one where we can talk to the elders. We'll see. I've also enabled some more mining ships because I noticed that there are some more ice we can mine over here. And in addition to that, I have started building a 4th farm in this sector, just to be absolutely sure that I'm not going to run out of food. So I've also started thawing more people and enabled the 2nd mess hall here. And with all these people, we need to be mindful of that. We might also have to build another waste treatment plant in this industry sector now. I'm going to pay attention to the waste, since we are getting a lot more people in here now. There's 250 more people in this sector now. We are at 731 out of 819 population. It might be necessary for us to go to restricted food, at least as long as we have that much happiness, thanks to the Marduk Memorial up here. We can also upgrade the Marduk Memorial.
A science ship has arrived at its destination.
Give it an additional bonus to stability, but we will not do that at least until I have chemical fusions. I need 50 more science. Now I'm going to do a little quick save here. Because I'm not sure about that science event that we are going to trigger now. Summary of intelligence on the Protagoras. The PA of the Protagoras is unresponsive. It will need to be replaced. Transmission from the Maxwell's team. We have reached the data storage center of the PA. We can either install a copy of Eden, where we will use a copy of the Tiqqun's PA to replace the inactive PA of the Protagoras, or we can save a copy of the Protagoras' PA. Now, I'm not sure about those characters there, if they are translatable with the Caesar cipher or whatever they are. But I don't think that the people who are left here need a PA. And I kind of want to save the engrams, or whatever we should call them, of Vanir Dolos. So we are going to save a copy of the Protagoras' PA, and I hope the people that are left behind on the Protagoras will be able to fend for themselves without a PA, so... Yep. Maybe I'm being slightly ruthless here, I don't know. Yeah, we definitely need to build another recycling plant here. Unless one of these is... Nope, they are not at the very end of their cycle, so another recycling or waste treatment center is required. And the fact that it is required is a good thing. It makes me happy, because having these are very beneficial. But with all the people that are now being woken up from cryostasis, and also the new people we have on board the station that came from the Protagoras, that might be something to consider in the new sector that I'm going to be opening, specializing it in recycling. Although the recycling buildings only contribute one...
An accident has occurred in the Tiqqun.
Of course. They only contribute 1 point to recycling, and they also contribute 1 point to industry. So it's not a bad thing to have them in here. I don't think I'll be reaching tier 2 industry. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I needed 8. Maybe 7 was what I needed. We'll see when this one finishes. I don't think I have any problems with workers here. We have 319 available, so... And only 130 of them are working. And that's not even counting the ones who are now in the infirmary, thanks to the accident in that recycling plant. Yeah, we can definitely speed things up. I think I'll set this one to make electronics, because we're running low on them. We have 6 in each sector, and I'd like to have some additional electronics. They are, for instance, required for building the demotic quarters. Yeah, looking at this build-up, well, they are going to require 150 in short order, those 3. Maybe this one isn't required. $50 to 2 per 10 cycles. Nice. Why does it say to 2? It was to 1. That did not bring us to... Well, it actually brought us to recycling specialization. Recycling buildings... Oh, that's fine. Nice.
Has completed a task.
And we also get less stability penalty for from waste buildup. That was 4 points. Naomi Protocol, we have repatriated the PA of the Protagoras, and we get 60 science. Lead. Let's collect that science. Force of the Protagoras, that's an interesting name. Of the quest, I mean. The IXION engine is ready, but we're not going to use it yet. Let's see here. So now we're producing 65. Okay, now we're definitely self-sufficient. With that recycling bonus thing from that tier 1 bonus, that's really nice. $170. How many pods are left? 65. $110. Yeah, I'm going to pause the recording because I want to pick up all of the pods from the Protagoras. I'll just let them continue to unthaw people.
An accident has occurred in the Tiqqun.
And there we go. I've built a 4th farm here, and I think I'm just going to power it off because we don't really need it currently. I've left that space there in case I need to do the mathematics on the food and so forth. And we've picked up everything from the Protagoras. The only thing left to pick up in this system now is ice. We are running-ish low on it. And the travel distances to these ice fields are rather far. But so far, I'm not sure if we're able to keep up or not. We did get more science, though, from the Protagoras. So let's research the final chemical fusion research here. Just so we get that out of the way. And that means that when that is done, we'll have 44 science points left. Now, let's just have a quick look here. Nanofilters, that would definitely be interesting, but I'm not sure it's a priority. Intelligent design, that might be a priority. On the mess hall, advanced logistics, not really well, it is useful, but not really necessary currently. This, however, I remember I was talking about, I couldn't remember what I needed the upgrade in the Cryonics Center for. This is what we need the upgrade in the Cryonics Center for. And this one I find, I think this one is fairly important. But we do need group decryonization, which means that we need to invest 75 points in it. And I'm kind of leaning towards rather getting... that one I don't think I'll be taking. The emergency cryopods, I think that will be... I mean, since they've put it in here, that's definitely going to be needed for something. What I would like to get, though, is the advanced analytics and the disruptive study protocols and the dedicated exploration PA to get additional science points in the next chapter. I'm not sure if I will be able to get that by the next chapter, but because we need the designed instruction for the docking bay. So I think I'll queue up that designed instruction, and that will bring us to, because this one was 50, and then designed instruction is 30, so we won't have much points left, but we'll get designed instruction, queue that up. And then after that, we can start getting the advanced analytics, the disruptive study protocols, at least those two. I might hold that one off. Apparently we need the post-lunaclism science ship. Oh, it's that one. So definitely get those two at least. But with that, I think we are calling this a wrap-up. And I hope that you guys are happy with the more condensed form. In Chapter 3, there will be a lot of science events and stuff going on when we get there. At the beginning of the chapter, and there's also something there that I'm not looking forward to. How am I going to deal with that? I'm sure that for those of you who have played the game, you are very eager to see how I'm going to deal with Chapter 3. But yes, that it'll be fun. I promise you it'll be fun. With that, if you have any questions and or comments, please do feel free to leave those in the comment field below, or you can, as usual, leave a little emoji down there. It is very much appreciated, and it helps with the YouTube algorithm as well. And I guess I should also mention, which I rarely do, don't forget to like, maybe even subscribe. A lot of you who are watching aren't subscribed, and It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and it helps me out. So if you want to help me out, maybe you don't. It's your choice. I'm not going to be upset if you don't. So then, yes, do click the buttons if you want to. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all in the next one.